Welcome back to the BackCountry Pa Podcast. This is your host, Cody. On this episode here is another broadhead episode. So I had the pleasure of sitting down with Jeff from VPA Broadheads, VPA Archery. So sat down, talked all about fixed heads because I had issues shooting fixed heads in general. So we talk about that. We talk about what products they have. We just have a good conversation about archery in general and hunting industry in general. Really, really cool episode. Um, but this, as I'm recording this here, I wanted to talk a little bit about, give a little bit of update of what my off season looked like. I went in, I tested out the XOP Superfly stand. I got in a tree. I checked cameras to make sure they were all working correctly. So the one cell camera I put out that I tried to make into an SD camera did not work. It was taking pictures constantly, but it was not pictures that had anything on it. No, it would take random pictures here and there. Like it'd take like 10 in a row. And I got a few deer on camera just probably by happenstance, but it was a mom and her fawn. It looked like the fawn was very small on July 3rd. So that's a good thing. So that's a late cycle for that doe. So that's a good area. That's right by that big scrape, that big signpost rub too. And when I went in there, it smelled like deer. Like I got a whiff of deer, and I'm thinking that it's just because there's a doe family group living in that area. So that was pretty cool to see. Checked a few cameras. I have one buck on camera that's a mainframe 8 already as of July 4th. He's a mainframe 8. That means he's going to put on a lot of mass. So I'm excited about that. Other cameras, I had to kind of move them around, get them in the right position. The one camera, I was an idiotic spot that I put it. It was try to get it above some laurel so I could see more of what was going on in the area there. Did not work out. So I moved it to a good scrape that actually had pea in it. And there's a lot of bear signs, so that camera might be knocked down come season time when I check it. But I have made a game plan kind of for hunting that area in early season. There's an aggressive buck in that area, and I really want to hunt that guy or another buck that I have on camera. But I had to make up my mind of which area I want to hunt the first couple of weeks because there's some old logging roads in there that I think I can get some good access to it and sneak in there if the wind is right, thermals are right, all that kind of stuff, timing's right, where they're probably bedded down. Found some good beds too, some interesting beds, put it that way. But it's almost that season. It's July, whitetail season. After this episode, we drop the Woodsmanship series. So that's going to be happening. Have them scheduled out. Going to be at Huntstock, actually, in August. What is it, 8th to the 10th, going to be up there with Drawback Outdoors from Jimmy from Drawback Outdoors, taking the trailer up. We're going to be, I'm building an actual podcast table, possibly a bar or two. Going to have the TV up there. Going to be drinking some beer, talking deer, and having a good old time, shooting the bow a little bit. But that'll be fun. So come check it out. Huntstock in Massachusetts. It's going to be fun up there. Have a lot of episodes planned. Have a lot of episodes going on right now that are really, really good episodes, I think. Some really interesting guests having on, interesting conversations. But it's almost that time. Remember to check out the partners in the description. Brought to you by XOP. There's no discount code just because of the tariffs, but the stands are phenomenal. Love the sticks and the Superfly. I love the fly, on the other hand, I'm not 100% fond of, just too big, kind of. But really enjoy it. Check out the discount codes in the description. And remember to keep hunting, keep fishing, and always enjoy the freaking process. See you. Welcome to the BackCountry Pa Podcast. First of all, Jeff, you're from VPA Archery. First off, do you want to introduce yourself and a little bit about VPA itself and how it got started?
Yep. My name's Jeff Stringer. Don't know what you want to know about me, but I'm married, 4 kids, great family. Actually, today at last night at 11 o'clock, got my first grandson, first grandbaby at all. So super excited about that. Born, raised hunting, just a hardworking blue collar guy. Made my way through life by just knuckling down and busting my butt and getting things done, doing what people say can't be done. So VPA is it's actually part of a bigger company called Vantage or Absolute Machine. back in 2017, I visited a machine shop in Fort Wayne to get some parts made, and walked in and thought this is a diamond in the rough, and then walked around the corner and seen that they're making the VPA Broadheads, and went and talked to my partners Ryan and Rob and said, man, we got to buy this. And VPA was at the time was just a side hustle they did when they didn't have anything else to machine, and now we have about $8.5 million of machinery that just does VPA. So
Wow.
it's turned around quite a bit. Still not, not some of the brand names that we've known growing up, but we're getting there. VPA is a well recognized name and all U.S. made. The goal behind Absolute and VPA Armory is make things back in the United States, U.S. manufacturing, but also put people to work, create jobs, right?
Yeah.
Nothing better than, especially coming up on the 4th of July. Why would you go out, get ready at the 4th of July, celebrate Independence Day, and go out and buy a bunch of Muzzy or Rage or Tooth of the Arrow or any of those other junky ones that are made in China? Go out and buy something American.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's right. Right around 4th of July. I mean, we're recording this on June 30th right now, so it'll come out a little bit after 4th of July, but that's the way. So when you first got into it, before buying VPA and doing and going that route with the broadheads, you were just a machinist. Is that what you pretty much were doing?
No, I worked for aluminum companies, so Alcoa. I was with Alcoa for a long time. Then a company called Norsk Hydro Aluminum, and then I had my own plant in Bluffton, Indiana, called Alexan. Just metals was my background, and we come across VPA and just kind of fit in. We knew what we were doing on the purchasing side, knew the customer base, so it just made a ton of sense to buy it.
Now, because you were hunting before that, so what was your setup like before actually getting a broadhead company and doing all that kind of stuff, taking that off? What was your setup for arrow wise and broadhead wise before that?
Well, you're talking a long time, right? I'm in my 50s. So what was before that is I started out with a bear that was a hand-me-down from my grandfather to my dad to me, just a recurve. And then in the 80s, back when they really started coming out commercially with compounds, I got a compound. I remember that thing. I don't remember having any let off, right? It was just straight pulleys. So those setups, I mean, when I got that first compound, I was shooting wood arrows off that recurve through that compound until my dad come out and convinced me I was a knucklehead who was going to put one of those arrows through my arm. And then then you went to aluminum back when Easton, part of our product line coming out of Alcoa is we did bats and arrows for Easton. So Easton arrows were big back then. And then, Bear had a bunch of fixed blade broadheads that were out in that time. Then mechanicals started coming out. I had a friend, Scott Davis, and his brother Seth, and their mom had a company called Wacom Broadheads. And Wacom, I mean, they were built right in my hometown. So we all shot Wacom, and then it got bought by another guy and then sold to Fairdyne and went over to China. So they've all died out. Then we tried the mechanical route, but I don't remember the year, but I was hunting elk in Colorado and shot an elk over a water hole. It went in, hit a rib, spun around, come out the brisket, and he ran off. Big bull. But the mechanical never opened, and when it hit the bone, it just deflected. And I thought, that's it, I'm done. We're going away from mechanical. So I went to Wacom, and then they went to China, so I stopped shooting those. I did shoot a few of Grim Reaper. Jay's a good friend of ours. So I shot some Grim Reapers for a while, and then I'm done with mechanicals. I want something that opens all the time. You put all that time and effort into consistency and repeatability on your shot and your release and how you aim and all that. And then the one thing that kills the animal, you put all the variation you can find into a mechanical. Will it open? Will it not open? Is one blade open? Does one not open? I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So what we have is S7 machine tool still. It's cold rolled in the United States. It's one solid piece. We start out with 7 grains and we make one head out of 7 grains. And like we were talking before we started recording, I'll guarantee it's fully deployed when you draw back It's fully deployed when you release. It's fully deployed all the way through the animal. I mean, it's always open. You don't have to worry about that variation. And the difference with ours is that we start out with 1 pound or 7,000 grains. We chuck it once. So our shaft, our ferrule, and our tip are all on the same plane. There's no run out. And then we cut all our blades at the same time. So there's no variation in weight. So really, if you shoot ours and you know how to tune your bow, you know, your axle to axles in alignment, your D-rings where it's supposed to be, your arrow rest isn't dragging. These shoot just like your field tips, as long as you tune your bow. And the great thing is, you know, it's investment over time. You can go out and buy some rages and you spend $30-$35 and you get 3 shots out of them and they're done. Or you go buy mine for $60 and shoot them for a lifetime or at least a couple seasons. The cost over time is a no-brainer. Ours is a much cheaper way to go than rage, but a lot of people go out and buy whatever's cheapest right then.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing is I think people go out and buy. I mean, I've been there. Like that's what I did. I mean, I got into archer hunting 5 years ago, really. I mean, and I shot. I would always be the person to be like, go buy like the cheapest broadhead. That was pretty much what I did. Like I think a lot of people do that, but then when you shoot some deer and you don't recover them, or you don't know if the broadhead deploys, whatever the situation, it kind of makes you think like, okay, I got to really put some thought into like what I actually want to shoot. Like, do I want to shoot a mechanical that there's that chance that it doesn't open and doesn't deploy in time, or you hit a branch and it deploys too soon and it ricochets to a different area, or it slows it down where it doesn't penetrate the whole way? Or do you want to shoot a fixed blade where it's like it's already open, it's already there, it's already sharp, like to put it through, and you can actually sit there and make sure it's sharp yourself by like sharpening it and putting it through the test, and you know, even shooting it at the actual target. Like mechanicals, you don't want to necessarily shoot it at your practice like target because you're going to dull it out, then you might not be able to resharpen that or have to buy new blades for it. Like, so there's a lot of benefits to a fixed blade broadhead to do that. Now, it's kind of funny when you said about the aluminum arrows. I got my dad's old PSC bow. It has the really small cams on it. So once again, like hardly any let off to it. Has the, I think it's like, isn't it like it's like metal wire or like steel wire? I'm not sure what it is, but it's like the string on it is only like this long. So
back when they had cables, they actually
Yeah.
used to have cables with string in between.
Yeah, so I got that replaced last year. And I was going to use it as my backup bow, and it has the aluminum arrows. It has I think they're Eastons as well. Had 3 of them, and then my dad still had the old fixed blades on the front of it that he would always shoot with, and they're muzzies. And like I was shooting that, and I was like, oh my gosh, like the it shot so well and grouped so well with them. I was like, man, 30 yards, like this could be my like go-to bow for this situation. Because I mean, I put a new sight on it. I put a whisker biscuit on it, because originally those PSCs, all they had was that like little rubber
flop away.
Yeah. And I was like, I got to put like a whisker biscuit on this just to make sure like it stays there, because I don't want it falling and doing all that kind of stuff if I'm in the saddle, or you know, if I'm out of the tree stand. And man, that thing was dead nuts. And I didn't really tune that bow. I just got the new string put on and I just started shooting it. So I mean, I think I never really tuned a bow before for a fixed blade. So I tried it before, but it's my error. I was like, I don't have the time to really tune this, right?
Yeah, well, I tell people you should tune your bow regardless of what broadhead you have on there, right? I can take any bow, any broadhead, any arrow setup, and I can get consistent. The arrows might be flying sideways through the air, but I can get it consistent. But if you really understand how to tune your bow, it makes a world of difference. So I don't know. You got to keep those muzzies because they're probably back when they were made in the USA.
I will have to look at them, because I think there's 2. I think they're all vented. I don't know. I have to look at them. The bows downstairs in the bow case. I should put back out here in the studio, but I'm pretty sure they're all vented. and I think two are the same and one's different. I think there's like two different types of muzzies, but I think they're 125 grains on the front of them.
Yeah, we're actually working with Fairdyne. They got some new leadership there that realizes that they need to do something different. So we're trying to convince him or work with him, maybe not convince him. I think they're already convinced about bringing some of that back to the States, because Muzzy, Rage, all those guys were U.S. made small mom and pop companies at one time, and then got bought up by a conglomerate and moved over. GSM does the same thing. NAP,
Mm-hmm.
you'd see. I watch some of those guys like the Buck Commanders, seem like great guys, but they'll shoot Chinese stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the end of the day, I guess it's what they pay you, right?
I think that's kind of like what I've been seeing a lot, and this is kind of like a rabbit hole in itself. It's like a separate podcast other than just talking about VPA, but like I've seen that a lot. Like people get sponsored by whatever company, right? Like it doesn't matter, and they'll push that product no matter what, no matter where it's made, no matter how it's made, no matter how good the product is, no matter how much it costs. I mean, and then they'll lie about that they got it for free, right? Like it's like they'll push it nonstop, and then all of a sudden it'll be like, oh yeah, I paid this price for it, and then you go look, it's like they're sponsored by them. So it's like you didn't pay for that stuff. It's like it was given to you, so you, of course, you're going to say all the good stuff about it.
I don't know. We give a ton of stuff away, but we don't sponsor anybody. We want them to shoot it because they think it's the best stuff to shoot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
yeah.
Make that relationship based off that and performance. I get a lot of guys that our biggest complaint is I couldn't find the arrow after I shot the animal. I found the animal.
Yep.
I watched him die in 30 yards, but that thing went all the way through and I couldn't find it. I said, well, it's a trade-off, right? Go if you want to find your arrow, maybe get one that falls out before it kills the animal. Or if you want to find the animal, just use ours and it'll be dead. And I actually killed a nice bull a few years back on accident. I'd left a target tip in there and I was in a hurry I missed the first shot. I'll admit I miss once in a while. Mm-hmm. Missed the first shot, grabbed the second arrow, pulled back, let it rip, watched the elk go about 60 yards and fall over, went over and picked the arrow up and it had a target tip on it. So you can kill anything with the right shot in the right place. It helps when it leaves a gaping hole in there.
Now, for your target tip, are you talking about like one of your own broadheads, or are you talking like just a field point on the end?
Just a field point.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So that hole was like really small.
But it went through both lungs and the top of the heart.
Okay.
So hole placement, right?
Yep, that'll do it. Yeah, because this year I shot. So for my history of shooting broadheads, when I first got into it, when I first got my compound, I shot a blackout fixed head, right. And I missed a doe. Like that was like, when you first get into compound hunting or archery hunting in general, it's like you don't really know what to do, right? It's like you're just going out there, you're buying what looks good on the shelf and all that kind of stuff. So I bought the blackout fixed heads, and there was a doe that came in front of me, and I shot right underneath her. Now, at home here, I was hitting target perfectly, right? And then I get out, but I was using, I didn't know, in my mind, I did not know, okay, I should practice with these fixed heads on my arrows at home. So, like, I'm shooting with my field points, and then I go in the stand with the fixed heads on, and I shoot right underneath. So I'm thinking, like, okay, these are going to fly the exact same. Turns out it wasn't. I shot right underneath her, like, it was 22 yards and shot right underneath her. So if I would have aimed a little higher, probably would have hit the bottom of her lungs, all that kind of stuff. But like, I didn't know that. And then I went from that to automatically, okay, I messed up with the fixed head. I'm going to go to a mechanical now. So then I shot Rages for a little bit, and then I shot some Grim Reapers. And then last year I shot G5 Mega Meats. So I shot those, and, I shot a really nice buck last year, but couldn't recover him because I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know. There was good blood for 80 yards. I don't know if the arrow backed out. There was no pass through, whatever. Like, but then I know he survived because I have a picture of him on camera at 4:00 p.m. just walking through. Like, he was perfectly fine. So, and then that leads to this year where it's like, I want I want to put more time, because we put so much time into scouting for these whitetail or elk or whatever you're hunting. When you have the opportunity, I want to make sure that it's like I'm putting that animal down no matter what, right? That's the
Well,
big,
you owe that to the animal, right? You're
right.
going out there to have a good time, harvest some meat. That animal's going out there. That's their last event of this time around, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I want to talk about all the broadheads you have, because there's a lot of things about fixed heads that I don't know anything about. Like I'm like, what does this even mean? Like, what's the importance of this? So I saw on your website you have like single, double, and like you have 3-blade broadheads.
Right.
So, and you can sharpen all of them, it seems like.
So we have double bevel, single blades, right? Two
Mhm.
blades. Then we have single bevel, so it's either beveled on the right side or the left side of each one. Then we have in that same one, we have a chisel tip or a tonto tip. Then we have all the 3 blades, and then we go. If you look at our site, it's everything from 100 up to 300,
Mhm.
right? So, and all of them can be sharpened on the double bevel. You can sharpen it. It's a little different, but all of our double bevel 3 blades can go on a flat stone. All of our single bevels on the Omega series can go on a flat stone, and then you can really sharpen our single bevel with the chisels on a flat stone. It just takes a little more technique, or you can get like a KME. We make all the KME components for the KME sharpeners, so we push KME, but you can get that, set your angle, and sharpen them. But the Omega came out of listening to customers saying we love the single bevel, but we hate sharpening them. So we worked with Daryl Barnett and came up with that single bevel that you can do on a flat stone that nobody else can do, and patented.
Okay. And
Make it
then
easy.
the Omega, I just saw, I mean, obviously today I just saw it, but you have the bleeder to add in there. So like what's the importance of that? Like, what's the importance of the bleeder?
It just gives you a more cutting surface, right? So on the bleeder side, I think it's 0.895 width, and
Mhm.
then 1 1/8 or 1 1/16 on depending on the weight on the regular body. So you're almost 2 inches in cutting diameter on that, and they're beveled the same. So if you get a right bevel Omega with bleeders, the bleeders are right bevel too. So you still keep that corkscrew cut as it goes through there. I'm telling you, they're devastating. We were talking before the show that um, the middle of the month, sometime around the 20th, Lusk is coming out. He's already reviewed our Omega and our 150 Omega with bleeders.
Mhm.
He's reviewing that 125, and then he actually goes out and shoots a hog with that 125. And you'll be surprised at the results from that, from his testing and from just the sheer devastation on that hog. Because remember, when you watch Lusk, he
Mhm.
has 2 categories when he measures. He's got fixed blades and mechanicals, right?
Mhm.
And we're the second highest. I think we should be the highest. I could debate that with anybody on the fixed blade. And the only reason that there's a mechanical setup that's separate from fixed blade is all the mechanicals that end up in the low numbers, because they don't get the penetration, they don't get the longevity out of them. Some of them get deeper penetration because they're not dragging the blades behind it when it goes into the cardboard or the ballistic gel. But really, you can't compare a mechanical to a fixed blade, so they have to have their own category. But we're within the top 2 he's ever tested. Just durability, penetration. I mean, they're just great heads. So that bleeder gives you a bigger cut.
I feel like with a mechanical too, when you have that penetration into whatever animal you're shooting, once those blades open, it slows it down quite a bit. With a fixed blade, you don't really have that slowdown as much, because you're already expanded and it's hitting with the same force no matter what. Is that kind of correct?
Yeah, on a mechanical, you're using that inertia, or that force going forward. And once it hits the animal, that force is used to open up the blades.
Mm-hmm.
So you take some of that inertia away, so the velocity slows down as it enters in, because you're mechanically opening, taking creating resistance and taking some of that energy to open up the blades.
Okay. So with the weight, so I shoot 100 grain is what I usually shoot. So I know you go the whole way up to like 300 grain. with your broadheads. So obviously with the bigger ones like 200, 300, like that would probably be for like a trad bow.
No, we got a lot of guys that are shooting high FOC. I got a guy, Phil Phillips,
Mm-hmm.
Hayden Outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to Africa and he's taking some 250 Omegas. He's going after some thick hide, like I don't know exactly what he's shooting, giraffe or whatever, hippo, but he needed something that's going to get through that thick layer. And I think his whole arrow weights can be around 800, 750 or 800. So I think it depends on the species. But the thing about VPA is when you call in, we don't say, oh, you got to be front of center or you got to shoot light and fast. Or, I mean, at the end of the day, it's what you're comfortable with.
Right.
That's what drives me nuts about some of the sponsored talking heads is they'll come to you and say, here's what you got to do. I grew up in archery and hunting. That part of it's the journey through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What works for you? What worked well? What didn't? How did you figure it out? How do you get more intimate with your setup? It's by, like everything in life, it's through trial and failure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Try to figure it out and see what's going on. But you get some of these talking heads that say, don't try it. Just do exactly what I'm doing. Shoot everything I'm shooting. Well, you don't have the same anatomy as a guy that's 6'2" and 32-inch draw. So what he's doing is going to be a little bit different for you. So you've got to kind of figure that out on your own. And that's why we say, tell us what you're comfortable with shooting. You know, so like you've been shooting 100 grains. We have 100 grain. Mm-hmm. What's your total arrow setup? Let us help you figure out where you're at. We try to talk to a lot of people that are shooting a 100 grain with maybe a 100 grain insert. Mm-hmm. Why don't you shoot a 200 grain broadhead? That's what kills the animal is the broadhead, not the insert. Get all that same weight up front. Have something that has a bigger cutting surface, or go to a single bevel, or make sure you have enough inertia behind you that you can slip through the bone. So we give all those kind of options. That's why we have such a range of broadheads.
Yeah, I think to speak on what you said about like the journey of what works for you is like I remember when my dad was hunting with a compound. It's like I never remember him going to like an archery shop and like doing all this stuff with his arrow and doing all. He just went there, bought an arrow and brought a blade and made that work for his setup no matter what. Like it wasn't like he went and did all this extra stuff or like based off what someone else was doing. He was basically did it what worked for him, and he shot a good amount of deer doing that. So it's like you said, you got to make what works for you work for you.
What I found out over the last probably 2 decades, at least the last 15 years, is that you go to some of these bow shops, and there's some great bow shops in the world, right? Archery country, I think one of the best setup guys in the world, at least in the nation, in the world, is Jordan at Archery Country. I would fly clear to Austin, Texas, if Jordan will work on my bow, and he will, right? Yeah. And I'm trying to get to where he's at, but he's done it a little bit longer than me. There are those guys that are out there that are amazing that you really should lean on to get your bow set up. But there's a lot of archery shops, but the kid that's working on your bow today, 6 months ago, was a bagger at Walmart, especially when you start going into the big box stores. I see more bows come out. People bring, like we were at Montana last year at TAC, and I had Joel Turner with me. Probably him and Bodie are probably some of the most well-known shooters in the world, just great guys and great personalities. And the kid come over and said, hey, I'd like to buy some of those Omegas. I said, we'll go shoot them first, make sure they work for your bow. So we went over to the range, shot him, come back, and said, yeah, I can't get him in there. And Joel immediately said, let me look at your bow. And he's shooting a brand new Matthews, I think. I don't know if it was a lift or which one it was, but he picks it up and he says, well, I can tell you right now, your cams are out of alignment, your D-ring's too high, and your arrow rest isn't even hooked up to release right. So Joel took him over to the range, and they shot for I don't know how long. The kid came back, bought 3 packs of Omegas because they got his bow tuned in, and then shooting darts, right?
Yeah.
And Joel said the same thing. Joel can shoot. We went to some of his classes or hosted some of them, and I've seen him pick up a little kid's bow, might have an 18-inch draw length or something on it, and just smash darts all day, and then pick one up that he can't get all the way to the back wall and shoot through it. I mean, he can shoot anything. When he stands back and says your bow's out of tune, and that's the biggest issue most people have, you got to listen to that. And I really think that's where the advantage of mechanicals come in, is you can have a horribly set up bow. And like I said, you can get consistent. It might be shooting bad or sideways or whatever, You can get consistent shooting with a mechanical or a fixed blade for that matter, but mechanical a little bit easier because it's a it's a field tip until it
Yeah.
deploys.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people like lean towards that, especially for new bow hunters in general. They lean towards that because like I just want something that's accurate with my field point. But then once you start, like I said, like once you start missing deer or wounding deer, then it's like, okay, maybe I should go to a fixed head because it's so much better. But to the archery shops, like, yeah, I mean, it seems like every time you go into an archery shop, there's always like someone in there or someone who went there before that you're friends with will say, oh, you got to have this guy work on your bow because he knows what he's doing. And there's other kids in there that don't necessarily know what you're doing. Like I've had my bow worked on by one shop where like the guy who did it, I feel like he probably didn't know what he was doing because then I went in there the next day and the old guy that was in there fixed it. Like I pulled it back and my rest wasn't popping up with my arrow when I drew back. And I was like, that has to be fixed. My drop away west, my QAD had to be fixed. And I was like, I mean, if I walked out of there not doing that, who would have known, right?
I wish I don't know they could do it. But could you imagine if there was a penalty if they could track you somehow, and if you wounded an animal and didn't recover it, you had a 5-year waiting period before you could hunt with archery the next year.
Ooh.
You wouldn't see these knuckleheads taking a 150-yard shot, 100-yard shot, 120-yard shot. You wouldn't see them using some of the setups they have. You would make sure that animal's going to be dead as a doornail when you let that thing go. But because there's no, it's really comes down to ethics. If I shoot something and I'm one of those guys, if I draw blood, I'm done. If it's on me, and it doesn't mean that you don't ever have a bad shot or that it's, your release came off wrong or whatever, but a lot of them is just the wrong selection. Oh, let's try this, let's try that. But if you're accountable to killing that animal and you couldn't hunt because you screwed it up, I think there'd be a lot more oh shit moments of people saying, well, I'm not shooting that. I'm going to shoot something I know is going to kill that thing.
Yeah, there's also there's a lot of it going around where there was anyway, where it's like they blame their equipment when it's like maybe you should blame yourself instead, right? Like it's like, okay, it was my fault that I bought that broadhead, or it's my fault that I didn't have my bow set up correctly to harvest that animal or to make sure he's ethically put down, right? So it falls back on the hunter more than anything.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it's all those choices when you end up in the tree stand are choices you made all the way through there. So if it's your equipment, I'm with you. Did you decide to buy it? Did you not practice enough? I know I got tons of friends that wait till 2 days before the season, run to Walmart or run one. And I'm not saying Walmart's bad, but it's just convenience. Run to the most convenient place, pick up what they need last minute and go to the tree. Then you check out if they bumped their bow or something like that.
Yep. I always, right before, like the day before I go out hunting, I always try and at least shoot one arrow, maybe 2, 3, to make sure that it's like, okay, I'm still on. Like, it doesn't matter if it was just sitting in the studio here on the bench, right? Like, it's like, is my anchor point still the same? Am I going through all the steps right? Like, it's like when I like the buck I shot and couldn't recover and I knew he survived, like everything felt so clean. The arrow I saw go in him. Now it was like I had outside factors that affected that because I was, I heard someone say, oh, aim center mass of a deer. And that way, if you hit forward or you hit back, you hit guts or you hit heart or lungs. And it's like, I shouldn't have listened to that. Like, that was my own fault. So it's like 100% my fault on that. Like, if I would have put it where I should have, the heart, he would have been dead.
Well, didn't you say too that you'd switched to a fixed and hadn't shot the fixed? You were shooting a target tip or a field tip?
No, that was 2 years before. So that was when I first got my bow. That was the doe that I missed completely. This one was a G5 mega meat.
See, this is what I think we've shorted the industry by saying, here's a practice tip.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the only reason they give you a practice tip is because their junky ass broadhead won't last through a target or whatever you hit it into. So they give you this target tip so you don't trash one of their one and done broadheads. Not ours. We give you broadheads, go shoot them through whatever you want, and then the day before hunting season or a couple days before, put them on the stone, sharpen them up, and then go kill with them. Because then you have the consistency. Your bow's tuned in to how that arrow flies. You don't know. I'm a machinist and manufacturer. That's my whole background. There's variation in everything,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you shoot this field point and then you think it's going to fly exactly like this mechanical that's in the same pack. Well, that mechanical has moving blades. The ferrule's probably a little more hollowed out to take care of those blades.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're shooting one with the spring, you haven't deployed the spring. It's all different. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I just it baffles me when they say, "Oh, this will fly just like that." No, well, if it would, why don't I just use one of them? Oh, because it won't make it through my target twice.
Yeah.
You know, I shoot them. I got to go buy 5 dozen to practice with, and just leave them in my target.
That's very true. Yeah, it's very true. Like you should obviously practice with what you're shooting with. Like you don't practice like with you and the elk you shot. Like you didn't plan on shooting it with the field point, but just happened that it was the one you shot it with. Like it's just it happens. Like it happens sometimes. Sometimes we have those forgetful moments of like, oh, I didn't realize my field point was on there. But if you are practicing with the VPAs like an Omega or a 2-blade single bevel or the 3-blade, like you don't really have that, oh, I got to take the field point off.
Well, shot placement is
Mm-hmm.
got to be a high percentage. I'm not going to put a percentage to it, but you can have the sharpest damn broadhead and you shoot that thing in the ass, more than likely it's not going to kill it.
Right.
You know, with it or a field tip, but you can take a field tip and put it right through the sweet spot. It's going to kill it. I mean, you put holes in both lungs and they collapse and put a hole in the heart. The chances of that thing surviving are very low, but it just helps when you have everything. You have the cutting diameter, you have the cutting surface, you have the cutting force of the broadhead and the poundage of the bow going through it. I mean, it's a combination of everything, but consistency, practice. Again, we talked earlier about you owe it to the animal to be ethical about it. It breaks my heart that you watch some of these. You'll be watching videos. I watched one the other day. A guy's got a broadhead out there, mechanical, and he's got a whole series of 100 to 140 yard shots. And he only shows you the ones he killed, but
Right.
I know some people that are around that same group, and so well, it doesn't tell you about the ones that ran off. It just, I got to be careful about unethical because there's choices to be unethical, but that's one of my top ones. It's not like stealing money or something like that, but to take an unethical shot on an animal, I just think is ungodly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're telling God, piss off. Thanks for giving me that animal and the chance to shoot it, and I'm going to blow it off and do something stupid.
I've always been against like the long distance shots. Like for here in PA, like our shots, like I would say even 50 yards here in PA in the woods is just like too far. Like for me personally, it's like 35 and in, if even 35, like maybe 30 max. It's like when you're setting up for a deer, like you're not really planning on taking this long shot. I'm up close and personal with that deer, like trying to get as close as possible because I don't know, like we talked about, like you don't know if there's going to be a twig in that way, wind is going to come by, raise you, release that arrow, like whatever. Like I want to be as close as possible to taking that shot.
Well, that's what drives me with archery is I want to be in their backyard. I want to sneak on them, not them sneak on me. I want to out send them. They don't know that I'm there. I don't want them to hear me. I don't want them to see me. I want to get up and personal. If I want to shoot something 150 yards, give me a gun and I'm going out for a day. I'm going to kill something, come back. I go archery hunting. I want to be out. I don't want to take the first thing I see unless it's a monster. It's more about the journey than the destination for archery for me. And I think a lot of people are that. When you start talking to the trad guys, oh man, it's down and dirty about when was the last time you washed your socks, and was it hard water? Was it not hard water? Did it come from lime-based water? I mean, those guys go crazy on scent control.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, it's very interesting to listen to them because like those are the guys that you want to listen to learn about that scent control and wind and thermals, like the what is it, the stick bow boys or something like that. They do a lot of that where they talk about like the wind and thermals of things and excuse me. But it's like you can learn a lot from those people to learn like the wind and thermals just in general of how to play it and how to sneak up on a deer.
I had a buddy that was hunting up by Park City, and I asked him about where he's hunting. He said, well, in the mornings I hunt here because I come down on him. I don't remember down or up, one or the other, because the wind current as the sun comes out draws the wind up the canyon or down the canyon. I can't remember. And he had it right. I mean, he drilled one with one of our broadheads, punched him right dead, sat in the center mass of the chest, a full frontal, and that thing ran. I'll send you a video when we're done. It was pumping blood like it's coming out of a fire truck.
Oh my gosh!
But shot placement.
That's like one of those shots, and I feel like we're not even talking about your broadheads right now, but we'll get to that. But like the frontal shot, like that would be like the one where you like if you had a fixed blade, like that's like I would feel comfortable taking that shot with the frontal shot, like because with the expandable, it's like you don't like it has to go through a lot of bone. Like that's a lot of bone has to go through right there in the very front.
You'll clip the lungs, but you got to get through that center mass first, and that's all day a heart shot right there. And I don't know if I'd take that either. I mean, if I practiced a lot and I knew exactly where to hit, and I'd done that over and over and over and felt great about it, yeah, I might. Some people might say that's unethical, but you know, I think the 100-yarders, I'm impressed with somebody that can hit 100, 150 yards. I'd rather see him do it on a balloon or a target or something like that. I'm not real impressed when they said, oh, I shot at one and he's out 100 yards, but never did find him. I think, why would you do that?
Yeah, I'm impressed with when I see it attack. Like I like the videos where it's like, you know, the guy pulls back, he releases, you see the knock glowing as it goes, like the arc of it going into the target. I'm impressed by I like seeing that. I don't know if I'd want to see it necessarily shot at a live animal at 100 yards, like no matter what it is. Like I know people with elk, they take those long shots because it's a bigger animal you got to hit, a bigger area you can hit. I've seen videos where like the elk is like comes within 5 yards of the guy, then he shoots it like that. To me, I would get fired up more for that type of thing than I would a bull that's 100, 120 yards away to taking a shot at.
Yeah, when he's sitting there bugling and pissing all over himself right in front of you.
Yeah, he spits in your face.
Cold September mornings when that fog or whatever is coming off his breath right there in front of you. We called the bull in a couple years ago. My dad and my son, myself, my buddy Steve Huggins, and my son's on this. There's an oak tree, shrub oak between him and the bull, and we called that bull in, and he was trying to get through that shrub oak, just bugling. We were cow calling, bugling, pissing all over himself. My son's like, "Dad, stop! I can feel his breath on me. Stop." That's the kind of hunting I want to be in.
That would get anyone fired up. If you're not even a hunter and that happens, like you would get fired up for that. Like that's something that a lot of people don't get to experience. That's for sure.
Yes.
But so let's get to some of these broadheads, because I think we kind of went down a big rabbit hole there talking about different things, but I loved it. I loved every second of it. But so from the penetration and the thickness of the hide is like, that's what matters with the grain, right? Like, is that kind of what matters for that? So like 100 grain, like.
And the bone, right?
Okay.
So, whether you like FOC or not, the more mass you have on the front does penetrate when you have that force going through. It's like shooting a 375 H&H or shooting a 22, right? Which one would you rather shoot? Well, I'm pulling 90 pounds on both. I'd probably shoot the 375 H&H just because it's more mass, more damage. And once you get it going through, it pushes through. So Daryl Barnett's our engineer, and he can prove over and over and over the heavier weight, pulling the arrow through, stabilizes it. But we don't tell people, what to do, because whatever you're comfortable with is what you should do.
Right.
So if you like a light and fast and you can hit and you feel good with that and you take ethical shots, who am I to tell you should change?
Yeah.
Right. So that's why the different weights are. And then cutting diameters get bigger, right? So we have a 300 grain, 1.5 inch diameter 3-blade we make for big gyms. And I've shot turkey with it. I've shot elk with it. I've shot deer. It just devastates things, but it looks like a lawn dart flying down through there, right?
Yeah.
So, but I've also killed with, 300 and 400 grain 3-blade 100 grain setups.
So with the longer broadhead, does that change like the trajectory? Like say you're tuned for the shorter broadhead and you put that longer one on, is that going to change how much it drops or what have you?
Oh, the more weight you put on, I mean, you got to tune, right? But
Right.
I had switched. Let's see, I went from, I got to think about this. I went from 150 to 300 Big Jim 300s, 150 fixed blade threes to 300 fixed blade threes. So I went up 150 grains. I didn't change any of my pins till after 60.
Okay.
And I'm pulling, I have a bad shoulder. I'm pulling 62
Okay.
on one bow, 57 on the other bow. Didn't change them out at all.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying that's all fixed blades because you get into the MEMS, metal injected. Some of those fly different because not all the blades weigh the same because there's porosity. When you push that metal in there, there's air pockets that get in there. So you have variation in the weight in your ferrule, your shaft, your tip, and your blades. So those don't all fly the same, but ours, depending on what poundage you're pulling up, you might, the farther you get out, have to change your pins, but up close, yeah. I tell people that are shooting hundreds now that want to go to like the 125 Omega with bleeders or the 150 Omega with bleeders, go out and start shooting with your pins where they're at. And I bet a high percentage, 70%, might change their last pin, but the other ones are hitting right where they were before.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, you didn't see that real change until after 60. So like you're like in PA here, like 20, 30 yards, 35, 40 yards, like you didn't really, it wouldn't have mattered because you're hitting pretty much the same as you were with the other blades.
I'm not advocating don't shoot them and figure that out before hunting season.
Yeah.
Figure all that out before hunting season. But
Yes.
I wouldn't go out and start all over. I'd start with my 20 if I'm hitting dead nuts on it.
Yep.
Go to my 30, however you got them spaced out, and figure it out.
So I heard like in that little conversation you had there, it sounds like you shoot primarily 3 blades. Now, what's the difference between like a 3 blade and a 2 blade? I know obviously the 2 and 3 is the difference, but like what's the trajectory or the spin like for them? Is it pretty much the same?
No, I mean, think about a 3 blade like a nail and a 2 blade like a chisel. You drive a nail into a 2x4, that 2x4 shrinks around it and holds it in, so you get more resistance. You drive a chisel through there, it fractures it and opens a big void. So that's the difference between a 3 blade and like a single bevel.
Okay.
Or a 2 blade is, well, more of a single bevel. Single bevel is a chisel. A 3 blade is like a nail. Now you're going through soft tissue. You're not going a bone. It's probably going to stop rotation and go more straight.
Mm-hmm.
But on that single bevel, it looks like a corkscrew. My kid calls it the mud flap. It goes in with a 2-inch hole and it comes out with a 4 or 6-inch hole because it doesn't do a circle. It does a corkscrew. And it just gets bigger as you go through because it's forcing it to that beveled edge. That's the path of least resistance is that cutting edge. So it pulls more to that side as it goes around.
Okay.
But I shoot them all. I mean, you can't own an archery or a broadhead company without shooting them all. So again, I told you I was in the aluminum industry. Hoyt used to be one of our biggest customers. So now I'm older than you. I go back to the 80s where when we would send them up, we'd get 2 or 3 trial bows every year. So I've got bows from, I don't know, probably 89 through, I don't know when. Too many. You walk into my bow room and you can go to a Magnatech with a 4-inch overdraw, or you can go, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. PSE back before Dudley, I have some of those. I mean, Matthews, when Matthews first came out, I've got all sorts of bows in there. So every bow kind of has its own little different setup on it. So when somebody says, well, how does this shoot? I'll go out and shoot it and say, well, in this bow, how many pounds? 75 pounds, 23-inch or a 33-inch axle to axle, whatever I'm doing. Here's how it shot. Here's what I did. That way I have some experience with it.
So with the 2 blade, it's which one would be more like kind of like obviously they're both deadly, but like which one would be, I guess, the higher, more deadly one?
I don't think you can classify that. They're all deadly. So what we consider deadly is our broadheads have to be able to go through the shoulder.
Okay.
Or we won't release them. So even our turkey spur, it looks kind of flimsy. It's got the top broadhead and then down it's got some drawback. There's a guy that I'm not going to mention his name, but shot one of those through a hog and it went through both shoulders, pulled out and shot a turkey with it not too long after that. All those broadheads have to go through the shoulder. Now, a lot of my competitors don't even shoot the shoulder. They want the V, right? Shoot the vital V. Well, it's because it's all soft tissue.
Yeah.
That's why they shoot the vital V. 2/3 of the vitals are right between the scapula and the front shoulder. They're in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. Depending on where that leg position's at, you've got to be able to go through that.
Right.
Otherwise, you're limiting. You're shooting for a softball size hole. We're giving you a basketball to shoot at.
Yeah, I think that's one thing is like you want something that obviously goes to the shoulder. So what's that test like? What's your testing look like to like? Do you have like a cow shoulder that you bring and that's what you shoot through?
Yeah, and it's tough. We try to get fresh ones before they dry out, and we actually try for where it comes up and you're shooting through the ball joint. That's what we try to go through. That's our test, because some of those scapulas are pretty thin. I mean, every animal's anatomy is different, but if you can go through that ball joint, you can go through anything. That's besides some of the parts on the femur, that's the most dense section of that animal you can shoot through, right? Unless you want to shoot him through the hip. You don't know many deadly vitals back there in the hip unless you hit a main artery. So.
Right, the main artery is the one that would, I think, the only thing that would really kill him back there.
Yeah.
That. So how many? Because I've seen people shoot through cinder blocks, like shoot cinder blocks and it breaks. How many shoulders could you shoot through? Like, is it just the two you try and shoot through, like the front two you try and shoot through, or like, have you ever tried that with how many you can line up to try and shoot through?
Oh yeah, we've actually used a broadhead. I don't think it's even broke yet. We haven't even sharpened it. We just keep shooting it over and over and over and over. It's not the one that we run our tests through because we want you to sharpen your broadheads. But we're trying to run that thing through failure. Actually, we broke more arrow shafts and never broke the head, and just run them through. The cinder block thing, I mean, again, cinder blocks depend on who you buy them from. The densities are different. If you shoot it where the support's at, it's different if you shoot in the hole. Not a lot of my deer that I hunt in the wild hide behind cinder block walls or 55-gallon drums full of rocks or water or whatever, a hood of a car. Right. You go out and you look at Annihilator, whoever that is, and you go to the show and they have a hood of a car. I'm thinking, well, that's badass. If my deer hides in the trunk, I guess I could shoot it through the trunk. But what does that prove, right? I mean, is it a Ford hood or is it a Toyota hood? Is it aluminum hood or is it a steel hood? I mean, I just look at that and think, okay, I guess it shows you the hole it opens up, but not impressed at all. Now you show me like,
unless you're hunting deer in a junkyard or something like that. I mean, or
they're hiding behind a bunch of cars. But then you look at this one that Lusk did. So he tests one of our broadheads, and again, it'll come out, I think, in around the 20th. Then he takes it on his crossbow and goes and hunts hogs with it. He drills this big hog that's laying down through the front shoulder, and I'll let him give you all the details. It devastated that and came out the other side. So it goes through they call it the armor plate, but that thick, heavy hide goes through the ball joint, through the shoulder, out the other scapula, and out the hide. And I'm not even sure. He might have found the arrow because I think he shows the head afterwards, and it looked like it had never been shot.
Jeez, that's insane. I mean, those hogs are tough too. It's not like it's like an easy animal to put down, because I mean, if you miss by a little bit with them, like sometimes they just survive. Like you don't actually put them down. Like you got to hit the right area, and most of the time it's right behind their shoulder is the best place to hit. So like, I mean, the hunting public, we've seen them do it a bunch, right? Like they aim for that shoulder, and like I think they use two blades. They use a single bevel.
They use a single bevel.
Yeah. Yep. So I do see that you have one vented, a 2-blade double bevel with vented. So like what's the difference there? Like what's the difference between like the solid one and then the vented one?
Just some of those guys out west out here really like that vented because of crosswinds. They're shooting the long distance. They like that idea that it has less surface area to drag through the wind.
Okay.
We have some 3 blades that are vented too.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, it's a 2-blade double bevel vented one. Is there a 3-blade one?
Yeah,
you would know, obviously.
Yep, there's a 3-blade vented. Yep. Some of them are get down to weight, right?
Yeah.
Get down to that 100. We have 100 solid and 100 vented.
Okay. All right. So that just
When
helps
you
with
get
the crosswind.
yeah, when you get heavier, it's less like that.
Okay. And you're doing right now for the 4th of July, you have that one out that's an American flag one. That looks pretty badass, to be honest with you.
It does. Yeah. It's got some Duracoat on there, and then Duracoat American flag. And then we sell other things besides broadhead. We have I think it's a 15-inch ILF riser that has that same design on there. Again, it's one of the big things that we do, and we don't talk about it much because it's just giving back. Is we love the vets. Anybody that served, whether you've seen combat or not, just to put your butt on the line to protect all the freedoms we have, and first responders, nurses, the unsung heroes. We want to pay back to those. So some of what we do goes into a pool, and then we give stuff away. We try to do a combo hunt every year, and we never make a big deal of it because then we're doing it for the wrong reasons, right?
Yep.
In this industry, back a long time ago, before I had daughters, we used the Camel Girls and some of that for advertising at shows.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had daughters and thought, man, what a pig you are. Sex sells, but you see some of what we do in the hunting industry. You put a well-endowed young lady in a 4T t-shirt and have her shoot a broadhead, she gets a lot more followers than some ugly cuss like me. Or we make outlandish claims, fastest opening broadhead in the world. Okay, show me the data where you tested all that.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you test how fast it opens? And is that on every animal?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what their criteria is, but you can make outlandish claims. We try not to make those. We want it to be, how'd you like it? And we don't pay anybody. If you like it and it runs well and you like shooting it, we hope you shoot some more and send us some videos. And doesn't mean we won't send you some free ones, but yeah, I think too often we pay people and then they come out and say, this is the best thing we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And look at some of these talking heads that have shot for every major bow company in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And last year you were saying that bow wasn't the best. And now, because it says it on your jersey, that's now the best bow there ever was.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. I see that. Like, I've seen that way too much where it's like, one guy is pushing bear one year and then the next year automatically he wants to shoot PSE. I was like, you were just doing bear last year and you're like, oh, this is the best bow ever. And then all of a sudden this year it's like PSE is the best bow. It's like, man, like for the average guy who's looking at that, like they're gonna be like, oh, well, I need to get a PSE now because he says the best bow, right? Like,
well, the other thing, have you ever noticed that not all of them, but a lot of the people that shoot Easton arrows shoot Sever?
I did notice that. Yeah.
Do you know why?
No, I don't know that. Why?
Easton owns Sever. They just don't tell you about it.
Oh, well, then that makes a lot of sense then. Yeah. Hey, let's partner with you for our arrows. Now here's our broadheads.
Yeah. But let's not tell anybody because maybe it sways what broadhead you shoot or which arrow you shoot. I don't know. Easton's a great company. I think it's if you're proud of it, come out and say you're proud of it.
Right. Yeah. If you own it, like just say you own it. Like it's not going to make or break. If it's a good broadhead, it's not going to make or break anything. Right. Like it's like if you owned, for example, gold tip, right? Like if you were VPA and gold tip were like the same, it's like, and you were hiding that you own gold tip. It's like, why don't you believe in that product then? Right. It's like, just come out and say it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'm telling you, it all comes back to ethics. And, at the end of the day, you can bullshit a lot of people, but I got to cross that path one day with God and you can't bullshit him. And this right here, this is the other person where you at that I can't bullshit either.
Hello, how are you?
Right. It keeps me on the straight and narrow.
Yep. That's right. That's what they do, right?
Yeah.
So to end it, I have kind of it's a broader question for you. So if you look back and reflect on the hundreds of durability tests and hunting feedback you've done, what's the most surprising data point that you've found that could have kind of reshaped the brand itself?
For VPA or just in general?
VPA, and then, I mean, if you want to do in general, that'd be good too.
Well, so absolutely make a ton of we white label a ton of broadheads, right? So there's a lot of data, and I never share anybody's data, and we don't copy anybody's. But The one thing that I'm reluctant to do, and people talk about all the time, and I'm not saying it'll never happen, but any ferrule made out of like 6,000 series, it's made to fail, right? It's made so that they can sell a lot of broadheads. 70, 75, you're getting into a more durable alloy that can handle a lot more pressure. The tensile yield and elongation is a lot higher on it, so the durability is better. Even titanium, depending on how big the relief is, scares me. So I want it made out of steel. You know, we're talking about looking at maybe a mechanical, but it has to meet the VPA criteria, take out all the crap about whether it opens or doesn't open. So we're a long ways away from it. And it'd probably be a hybrid, so that if we can't figure out the non-opening, I won't release it. But if one didn't open, at least you still have a fixed blade going through there. But a lot of those that are made out of the lighter materials, I'm just not a fan of. There's too much variability, or it's a sales gimmick. Well, these are the best, the fastest. I know I'm going to sell 1 million of them because it's a one and done.
Right.
You know, and there's some big names out there right now. One of the biggest new ones on the block is a one and done broadhead, and they blast it out there, and they've got all the marketing, and it looks good, and they talk all this stuff about things that I don't think they can quantify. They're just chatting about. But how many of those do you find that people pull out of an animal and use again, or even pull out of an animal, or compare them on? You know, there's people can poke some holes in lust testing, and nobody's perfect, but he's consistent, right? And you go through and look at some of the claims these people make, and then watch it shoot through there. They're some of the lowest scores, but they got all the hype and all the bullshit that they're pushing through on the sales side. They get people to buy them, and I don't want to disappoint my clientele, right? I want people to come back because they talk to me or Ryan or Alex or Parker or Kellen. They get the truth. We tell them up front, and we're there to stand behind it. We're one of the only broadhead companies that have a lifetime warranty.
Yeah.
You know, we don't see Rage and some of these other guys because they'd go bankrupt. You know? They won't even let you shoot the damn thing into a target. They give you a target tip because they know it's so junky it won't make it through a target. Or if it does, it's hammered when it's done.
Yeah. So pretty much you're saying, like, once you found that material that you wanted to use, that metal that you were going to use for your broadhead, it's like, okay, now we have something here, because it's not like a cheap aluminum or anything like that. It's stainless steel.
Well, it's cool still, S7. And I push a lot of our white label guys. They'll ask me, what do you prefer? Like S7's more expensive, but it's a lot more durable. It's still easy to sharpen. Like Iron Will uses, I think, an A3, but he cryo sharpens them. So that thing goes dull. I mean, maybe you can go to one of his classes at college and figure out how to sharpen it. But it takes a lot to sharpen it. He'll sharpen it for you, but he charges. Ours is and that's a great broadhead. I'm not docking his broadhead, but ours is an S7 that's fairly easy to sharpen, holds the edge, and very durable. And the same with our bleeders. And we look at things different, you know, and I'm getting off. Here's another one that I found is, you look at bleeders on all these broadheads, you know, they're 0.2, 0.1 thickness. Ours are 0.85. You could pull that bleeder off, hook it to a shaft, and kill something with it. Yeah. It's as rigid and robust as the head is. Why would I want to go with these little bleeders? On some of those packaging, look at them, go to Shills or Bass Pro and go through all the ones that have bleeders on there. Some of them say designed, I don't remember how it says it, but basically designed to tear off if it hits bone or something. Well, what good is that? Why do I want my bleeder to come off if I contact bone? They want it to come off because it'll stop it. Mine goes all the way through. Again, we tested on, you know, shoot through the shoulder, shoot the shoulder. We have shirts out there that say shoot the shoulder. You know you're going to hit the vitals. If you can connect and you have the right setup and the right broadhead, that's a deadly shot right there.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, because you don't really want to find when you're gutting that deer, like if you kill the deer and the bleeder gets stuck in there, you don't want your hand to get cut by that. Also, like if it gets stuck in there, you can't find that arrow to see if the bleeder came out. You reach your hand up in there, pull the heart out, you could cut your hand wide open.
I know butchers here in Utah and out in Indiana that they'll ask, what'd you shoot it with? Oh, I shot it with a Muzzy or a mechanical, and they're like, yeah, we're not taking it. We're
Mhm.
not taking it. That, or you have to show them the broadhead that all the blades are on there. If you can find the broadhead.
Right. What? One more question. Now, how many shots would you recommend before sharpening it? Any one of your blades?
It depends what you're hunting, right? I
Okay.
mean, I've done this. I've been in the tree stand and shot a buck or something one day and then forgot about it and pulled that same arrow out as long as I know it's sharp and shot another one with it. There's very seldom, I carry 4 arrows in my quiver and we kill quite a few animals every year. I might touch them up, but I don't go through the full resharpening until the next year.
Okay.
But if I was to go kill a bull elk and go through the shoulder and wanted to use that same arrow again, I'd probably hit it right after that one.
Okay.
And we'll practice. Me and Sherry, that's my wife. We'll practice all year long. Use those same heads, pull them out, sharpen them, and put them in the quiver, and let's go.
Okay. Cool. Well, Jeff, it has been awesome talking to you. It was a great conversation. All the stories, a lot of rabbit holes we went down. I loved it. So, where can people follow VPA at, and if they want to go check out your stuff?
Yeah, we're on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, some I don't even know about, I'm sure. Just VPArchery.com, VP Archery on Instagram. I'm sure it's the same on Facebook. Then we have the Armory side or Absolute Machine. Check your local bow shop. If they don't have them, say, why don't you carry them, VPA, and get them in your local bow shop, or you can buy them online on our website. Send them direct to you.